Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Eric, and today I want to do a quick little video showing you how to smoke some pork ribs. Specifically, some baby back pork ribs, which are my personal favorite. Mainly because they are the most tender and leanest of all the rib cuts. Now this recipe will work with any type of ribs that you have, whether it's the spare ribs, the country style ribs, or even if you want to use beef ribs. Any of the ribs will work. But for me personally, if I'm going to go through the trouble of smoking them all afternoon, I'm going to go for the best ribs that I can make. And to me, the baby back ribs, hands down, are the best for the reasons I stated. Each slab consists of around 12 to 13 bones, and you get around a little over 2 pounds of meat per slab. This recipe is extremely easy. I mean, obviously you need the smoker, but besides the smoker, all you really need are the ribs. You need to put some kind of rub on the ribs. I got a couple here from Weber. This is a Kansas City barbecue rub. And I also have this one, which is a favorite of my wife's, honey garlic rub. But any type of barbecue rub will work. You just want to make sure you don't use one with a really super high salt content. Last time I made them, I went a little overboard and they were way too salty. So bear that in mind when you put the rub on. You want to definitely put it on there to soak in the meat, but you don't want to go crazy. The only other ingredient you need is your favorite barbecue sauce. Me personally, I like Crisp & Pitts. This is a local Southern California company that was founded in 1949 here in Southern California. And to me, I love this sauce because it's a smoky, tangy sauce. It's not real sweet. I know a lot of barbecue sauce put honey or molasses, and it's just the sweetness overpowers it for me. I'd rather have something a little more tangy, a little bit more smoky. So if you've never tried Crisp & Pitts and you have it, you live in Southern California, I'd highly recommend it. But anyway, very simple process. The main thing we do to the ribs for prepping it is we want to remove the membrane on the back of each slab, and we just want to put some dry rub on them, and then I leave them in the refrigerator overnight. I'll smoke all these tomorrow. I just wanted to show you the process here, so let me show you how it all gets done right now. Okay guys, the first thing you want to do is you want to rinse the ribs off, get them out of the packaged wrap, rinse them off real well, just pat them dry with a paper towel. Now in order to get the smoke and the rub to soak into the meat, the front part of the rib you're okay because it's just meat, but some of this might be new to you. The back part of the ribs has this membrane, which you really want to remove because it's really tough, and if you fail to remove it, you're not going to get that penetration of the smoke flavor in both sides of the rib. So this could be a little tricky, and once you've done it a couple dozen times, it becomes easier. But you want to start off on the end, and you just want to use a little knife and kind of try to get your fingers underneath where that membrane forms. And I'll show you right here. I don't want to block the camera view here, but you can see I already got my finger here. And you can see, you can kind of hear it there too. But it peels off. If you're lucky, you'll be able to get most of it in one shot. Okay, well I'm getting little strips of it. But this is that membrane. You see, once you get a little bit of it, you can see it here. So there you go. This is a good way to kind of show you. You get your fingers under it, and then you just kind of pull this membrane off. And it's pretty easy. I mean, the main thing is, you got to get a little knife, kind of get underneath it, and then once you pull it off, now you can see nothing but nice, clean rib meat. So you want to go ahead and remove the membrane from all the ribs. And I'll be back in a minute to show you what we do after that. All right, guys, back again. But before I continue on the smoked rib tutorial here, I have to stop and get myself a nice cold one, even though I'm not going to officially eat these till tomorrow. Might as well have one now. So I'm trying something different with each one of my smoking videos, trying to find something local, something different maybe that you guys might get a chance to tell you my opinion, might get a chance to try it. This is called Far Out IPA, West Coast style India Pale Ale from Bootlegger's Brewery. And Bootlegger's Brewery is in Fullerton, California, which is around 20 minutes away. It's actually the town I work in. This is 7% alcohol, but I mean, come on. I saw the logo. It's got the Volkswagen bus. It's got the tie-dye. I'm like, you know what? I like the concept. Far Out reminds me of George Carlin and the hippy-dippy weatherman. If you've never seen that skit, search for it on YouTube. But anyway, let's see what this has to offer. So basically, I'm going to let this sit here for a second while I continue on with the smoking ribs. Okay, so what I don't like to serve a whole slab. It's a lot of meat. Most people, unless you're in a fancy restaurant, they bring a full slab. So I like to cut each slab down into like 2 or 3 pieces, which I think is a little bit more manageable. It's best to cut the slabs when you have the backside up, because it's much easier to see the bones. And so then you can kind of count the bones and go along. But just, maybe 3-4 bones per section here. Nothing too exciting, This is a rather big piece. Yeah, I'm going to leave it. So yeah, you just want to cut it into 3 or 4 big pieces. Makes it a little bit easier to manage, a little bit easier. I got the rib rack, but if you don't, you can lay it out flat. Makes it a little easier to handle than a full slab, especially when it's hot and you're trying to take it out of the smoker. So let me show what we do next right now. Hey guys, as you notice, I've already cut the 3 slabs of ribs that I had into more manageable pieces, and I put them in 2 trays because I'm using 2 types of rubs. This tray I've already seasoned with the Weber honey garlic rub, and this one I'm going to season right now with the Kansas City barbecue rub. But first, I gotta try my beer here. Well, I have been trying it off camera, but I really like this. It doesn't taste like a beer with 7% alcohol. It's very smooth. It's got a very fruity taste. Again, Far Out IPA. Highly recommended. Glad I bought a 6-pack. Alright, so back to the job at hand here. This is not rocket science at all. We're just going to sprinkle the ribs, both sides, with the rub of your choice. The reason they call it rub is because you're supposed to kind of get your fingers on there and rub it in the meat. This is a pretty messy part of the equation, but it'll be well worth it when you taste the final product. You got to put some kind of flavoring on there. Like I mentioned before, we don't have to go haywire. A lot of this is going to absorb into the meat overnight as we let it, sit in the fridge. And a lot of the salt and spices is going to absorb. And tomorrow, when I take them out, maybe around a half hour, 45 minutes, before I'm actually planning to put them on the smoker, is when I'm going to take them off, and I'm just going to shake them real good, massage them again, get that excess salt and seasoning off it. Because last time I made them, they were a little too salty because I double seasoned them. I seasoned them once, and then when I took them out of the fridge, I noticed that it almost looked like all the seasoning was gone because it kind of got sucked up or absorbed by the meat. So I made a fatal mistake. Well, not a fatal mistake, but a big mistake. Fatal in the barbecue smoking world. I did a second coat of seasoning, and it really overpowered it. It was so salty I could barely eat them. They were so good. The smoke flavor was delicious, but they were just too much. So this is all we're going to do now. We got them all sliced into manageable pieces. I got them seasoned with the rub of your choice. And then, yeah, that's it. We'll put them in the, I'll put some covers on them, put them in the fridge overnight, and I will see you tomorrow. I'll pull these out around half hour, 45 minutes before I'm ready to put them on, just to bring them up to room temperature, shake off the excess, but I'll show you that in a little bit. Hey guys, Eric here, good morning. We've been having these ribs sit overnight in the fridge. Let's check them out now. I had them covered. And that's the honey, I can tell. And this is the Kansas City barbecue. They look good. As you can see, most of that salt has been, and spices has been sucked up. At this point, when you're taking the ribs out, either putting them on a rib rack like I have here, or just laying them flat out in the smoker on just a flat rack, start to soak your wood chips. In this particular case, I'm using apple wood chips with a little bit of hickory mixed in, which is what I highly recommend. Hickory in and on itself can be a little overpowering. We're going to smoke these ribs for a minimum of 3 hours. I cook them using the 3-2-1 method. And if you're unfamiliar with that, for the first 3 hours, you smoke them, get that smoke flavor in. After 3 hours, the meat has pretty much absorbed most of the smoke flavor. Then you want to wrap the ribs in foil with a little bit of your favorite barbecue sauce and a little bit of water or apple juice. You wrap them up tight. You can continue cooking them in the smoker, wrapped up at around 225 or so. And what happens is they'll start to steam a little bit with that liquid wrapped up in foil. So the first process gets it the smoky flavor. The second 2 hours, you're just going to let them steam in their own juices with a little bit of apple juice, like I said, water, and just get them nice and tender. And then the last hour is you're going to cook them over high heat, whether you want to throw them on the actual barbecue grill just to get a little bit of that barbecue flavor to them, or you can broil them in the oven. Just set it at around 400 degrees, and you don't have to cook it for a full hour. You just want to open up the foil and just kind of get them really hot so some of that barbecue sauce and juices kind of seal in all the flavor. So anyway, back to what we're at now. You can see here, these look delicious. And all you're going to do now is I'm just going to stick them in this rib rack here that I have. So let me stick it in over here. And we're just going to layer them. These are nice if you have a rack. I'd highly recommend them because you're going to be able to get smoke on both sides of the ribs, which makes it nice. Yeah, so you just stick them in like this. Like I said, you just want to shake off any excess water or juices. Now I'm going to switch over to the honey. Oh man, it just smells delicious. I'm so looking forward to this tonight. So again, you want to pull these out maybe around a half hour before you're ready to throw them on, 45 minutes, even up to an hour. It's perfectly okay. They've been in the fridge. They're very cold to the touch. You just want to bring them up to room temperature before you throw them in. So look at that, 3 full racks of ribs reduced to this. As you start to smoke them, you'll begin to start to see that the meat will start to shrink back a little bit from the bone. That's when you can tell it's starting to cook real good. But for the first 3 hours, it's pretty foolproof. Stick them in the smoker. You want to have the smoker set at around 200 to 225. And, make sure you got a constant flow of smoke. Keep replacing chips as you need to. And just for 3 hours, just let them cook nice, long, and slow at 200, 225 for the first process. So next step, we'll throw them on the smoker. All right, guys, I got the smoker up to 225 degrees. I got a combination of the hickory and the apple chips, and I'm sliding in the ribs here on the top shelf. Let's try to do them for 3 hours at around 225. I'll come back periodically, check them out, see how things are going. But that's about it. Great thing about a smoker, just let it do its thing. So now the time to go relax, have a cold one. All right, guys, we've been cooking these ribs now for just around 2.5 hours. I'm just going to take a quick look here, see how they look. Oh boy, look at that. Man, oh man. I want to show you guys a close-up here so you guys can see this. You can see how the meat here in the top part is starting to fall away from the bone. That's how you can tell. You can see that the meat has shrunk a little bit around the bone. So it is really good. I'm just going to let this smoke for another half hour or so, which will bring it up to a complete 3-hour cooking time. And then we're going to go ahead and start the second process, wrapping these ribs in foil with a little bit of juice, a little bit of water, barbecue sauce, and allow them to steam. So we will be back to pick these up in around a half hour. All right, guys, it's been 3 hours on the smoker. I pulled them off. As I showed you before, you can kind of tell when they're done, when the meat starts to kind of pull back from the bone. You can see the bones stick out a little bit more than normal. So the ribs have pretty much soaked up all the smoke flavoring that they can. So at this point, you want to lay 2 or 3 pieces down on a nice piece of foil. You want to cover up the ribs with a little bit of this barbecue sauce. You don't have to be precise, because this is just to help them steam inside the aluminum foil. So we don't have to baste them completely. We can just do a little like that. And then I took a little water with a little barbecue sauce and mixed it. And we just want a little liquid here on the bottom of this tray. Go. And what we're going to do is we're going to fold this up like so. And we're going to create a little tiny aluminum foil trap net. Just wrap everything around. And what's going to happen now is this, we're going to continue to cook it at 225, which is what the smoker. Now, I'm not going to use the smoker anymore because it uses propane gas. So I'm just going to set my oven to 225. And I'm going to take all the ribs and wrap them in little pieces of foil like this, and I'm just going to stick them in the oven for another couple hours at 225. So in a couple hours, we'll take these out of the oven. We'll see how they look. So be back shortly. Okay guys, just pulled these out of the oven. They've been sitting in there for around 2 hours. Now we just kind of want to unwrap that top layer. Ooh, you can feel the steam coming off. So now all we want to do is we want to open them up. You kind of keep them a little pulled like that so nothing drips out. Because we just want to expose the meat. We want to put them in the oven again. If you like, you can heat up the barbecue. Just throw them literally for a few minutes on each side. All we want to do now is kind of get them a little crispy on the outside. Give them that official barbecue flavor. Oh man, these smell so good. Alright. So you can see these here. Whew, steam's coming off. I don't know if you can see it. Alright. There you go. Finger looking good, as they say. So now all we're going to do, we're just going to top them off with a little more barbecue sauce. Some fresh sauce. A lot of that original sauce has been baked in. Oh, these are so good because the meat underneath is smoked. And now that they've been kind of steaming in there in a little bit of the juices here. So now you can just spread out the barbecue sauce real nice, kind of evenly coat them. I don't even bother to turn them over, really. You don't need to. They're pretty much done already at this point, but I like them a little crispy, so I'm just going to stick them in my oven, in the broiler, you know, 6 to 8 inches away from the heat element, and just crank it up to around 400 degrees. You know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You certainly don't need them in there for an hour. And then these will be ready. So I'll go ahead, stick these in the oven, get them crispy, and we'll be able to check them out in just a few minutes. Alright guys, I just pulled them out of the oven. I've only put them in there maybe 10-15 minutes tops. You can see the sauce is kind of caramelized on top. These are done, ready to be served. I don't have everyone here yet, but I'm just going to cut through one just so you guys can see how it is. Still a little too hot to eat, but you can see the meat is just ready to fall completely off the bone. You can see the pinkness inside, the smoke ring. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna help a little bit. Help myself here. But you can see the rib meat is just absolutely delicious. Oh my goodness, the smoke. If you've never tried smoked baby back ribs, by all means, get a smoker, try this recipe. I'm telling you, you will not regret it. The 3-2-1 method works marvelously. 3 hours in the smoker at 225, 2 hours at 225 in the oven or in the smoker. Wrap in foil with a little bit of liquid so it could steam, get real nice and tender. And in the last 15-20 minutes, open them up like this, another layer of sauce, high heat broil or throw them on the grill. You will not be disappointed, neither will your guests. Gonna wait till the family's here and we'll all have a sampling and see how we like them from there. Hey guys, we got the barbecue ribs out. We're gonna try them now. Kyle, why don't you try and tell me what you think?
Okay. I like the stuff inside, but the hard part, it's not, you can taste the barbecue on it, it's just really hard. I'm not sure for like Dad or any of those others, because I'm just a kid, but
How do you like the flavor?
I'm not going to get a piece of that to show them this time.
Delicious.
What are you gonna say?
Kind of plain for that part, but I mean,
I think it's delicious.
it's kind of a mix. And in the barbecue sauce, what we're gonna say,
It's very tasty. You can really taste the smoke flavor.
yeah, it is.
Very good.
Mm.
Delicious.
You really taste the smoky flavor.
Very tender.
Well guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and keep tuned for more smoky videos. Thanks for watching.